Hello fellow space engineers. Today we're going to talk about mission packages. Now a mission package or a mission specific package is a set of systems, weapons or additional craft that is attached to a naval vessel, primarily a combat vessel, to perform a specific mission like the name says. So this can range from minesweeping, surveillance or combat. Now for our purposes in the game, I want to talk about the mission packages that I have designed for the Calypso class destroyer that has that characteristic as one of its core features. In the screen now you see three Calypso class destroyers, two variants. The variant to the left, bottom and top left is the modded variant, which is the one, it's how the ship is intended to look, with these mirror top and bottom assault cannons and turrets and the extra AAA batteries. Now to the right we have the vanilla version, which is also available in the workshop, so you can basically paste it anywhere you want and use these mission packages as well. Now the lower left is carrying hangar modules, a small hangar module on the top back and a larger vehicle hangar on its underbelly, which is meant to land on planets. Now the version on the top left is carrying drone racks or torpedo racks or mine racks. It depends on the type of device that you want to attach to them. Now the version on the far right is carrying the always famous gravity cannon on its underbelly and a support rig on its back that will provide oxygen and energy. Now I'm gonna start describing them in detail one by one, so stay tuned. The hangar modules were the first modules that I designed for this mission package feature of the Calypso, particularly the small hangar module on its back. Now this hangar module was meant to be integral with the Calypso. This was going to be flush and it was going to be a permanent fixation of the vessel. But at the time I was thinking that the Calypso already has a a vehicle bay that holds drones or small fighters. And I was in a building session with my friend Javier, and he was building a fighter which its main body was an actual mission package, and the fighter itself was basically the control and the attitude thrusters. And he suggested, why don't do the same with a larger vessel, which is the destroyer that I was working on, that turned out to be the Calypso. So I decided to I followed his suggestion, and I cut off the hangar and turned it into a separate piece, also to try and get away from the seagoing vessel look that I was applying to my ships and have something that was more tailored specific to space. Now the small hangar module has a form factor that enables it to fit this light assault dropship, which is a VTOL dropship that I will talk about in a follow-up video, or two bulkhead fighters without the wings, or let's say with the wings folded, or with spaceflight specific only wings, or vernier thruster modules on its sides. As you can see here, this small craft is making maximum use of space, and this is something that if you're familiar with warships, and if you've seen destroyers or frigates, the space in their hangars is really tight, and usually the helicopters carried in them fold their rotors. And since we cannot do the same here as space engineers, we'll have to design ships to fit them. So this is the Bobcat assault dropship, and it fits perfectly here, barely leaving any space. Now that's also intentional. This mission package attaches directly to the back of the bridge, as you can see here, by merge block, and it provides access to this connector if you want to manually load equipment. So the crew can go straight from the airlock here out into the crew compartment of the dropship. or you can actually go on sites. The mission packages are designed with light armor so they don't overburden the carrying vessel. Now, upon completing that, I realized that this exact mission package can actually be installed on the underbelly. And as you can see here, it has a control panel that can be accessed from both top and bottom with ease. So some of these mission packages are designed to be mirrored. You could install two of these in a single Calypso, for example, one here on the back and the other one on the belly, and you could carry 4 small fighters or 2 dropships depending on what you want. But I eventually expanded the design and created this larger vehicle landing device, or planetary landing assist module, the way I call it. So it can carry land vehicles that would be mining, harvester vehicles, APCs, buggies, rovers, whatever you want. And right here to showcase this, I have this Meerkat APC, but you will see that we can fit way more. The module is designed to carry 4 of these APCs. There's plenty of space, or you could combine them. You could carry 2 APCs and 2 rovers, or attack buggies, or just all buggies, maybe 6 of them if they're small enough. As you can see, there's plenty of space here. Whoa. A little bit of lag there, as usual. And there you have it. You can carry 4. You can actually space them better. I think I ended up using too much space. But 4 APCs. Or any other kind of vehicle that you want. The ramp is tilted in a way that it touches the ground, parallel to these landing gears. And it's a planetary landing assist module because I've been experimenting with it in the natural gravity mode, and you can actually take off from the planet using this module, APCs and all. So for the task, we have 2 large thrusters and 4 smaller thrusters facing downwards. This particular module is equipped with a gyroscope to stabilize it, so in theory you could fly like really like low to the ground, detach it, and then power up the Calypso's main thrusters and point diagonally upwards and take off before the gravity pulls you. I tried the maneuver in the natural gravity mode and it's doable. And this module will land, and then the APCs will deploy. It will be kind of like a fast assault maneuver. I don't see any practical use for that right now, but I'm sure people will find a reason to do it without destroying the cargo. So that's it for the Hangar modules. Now stay tuned, and we're going to talk about the next set of modules. So the previous modules were focused on manned vehicles, both land and space or air. Now this set of modules is based primarily for supporting unmanned vehicles, let it be drones or mines. And in this case, this is the second module that I designed, and I initially called it a Torpedo Rack, but it's more of a drone rack right now. Now the main inspiration that I took to design this module is from the Russian Navy's cruisers and destroyers. And if you know military warships, military ships in general, you will know that Russian cruise missiles, especially the anti-ship missiles, are high-speed, larger, ultrasonic, if I'm not mistaken, missiles that basically look like a smaller fighter craft. They are quite different from the traditional Western type of missiles that can fit inside of a canister or inside of a silo. So Russian destroyers and Russian cruisers carry those in large containers, in large boxes that can be, seen very easy on the deck. So I wanted something like that. because let's face it, like in Space Engineers, we don't have that type of canister or missile silo. We have torpedoes that basically are small ships. So I think it was all fitting. And right now I have this torpedo rack or drone rack, which is a more appropriate name for it, loaded with mines. These are mines in the same way that modern uh, naval mines are more like torpedoes that remain dormant in a specific point and then activate and then pursue their target. So that's why you see all the sensors there. Now this module, instead of having batteries to be powered like the other ones, it has a small reactor. It has a small reactor because I want to make use of this connector here, and I also had to use the space, for the main spine with these timer blocks that basically control the detachment of the two sides. And they are easily programmable. You can, set the actions that you want when you download this build. I have to mention all of these mission packages have a beacon so you can find them, and I will tell you more about that idea with the coming set of mission package modules that I do. They all attach the same way, merge block and connector, and this in particular has the method of attachment for the small grid mines that uses the conversion of a small grid rotor to a large grid rotor for added stability, and that enables us to tilt them 45 degrees so when they take off they don't damage the flight deck and they clear the bridge instead of slamming against it. So I decided to take that idea a bit further, and I built a larger drone rack that enables the player to carry two large grid drones. And right here it has this center drone, which is the smallest that I can ever build a large grid drone. No matter how much I try, maybe somebody can get it to be smaller, but this is the smallest that I can get it, being operational. It has two large rocket launchers and a single Gatling turret, and it can be controlled from the vessel. It has a single laser antenna and two cameras on the sides, but this is what I'm going to talk about. It has a secondary camera, for launching 8 of the drones, and this is the empty side. You can paste the same drone here or build the same drone here. I decided to leave it open so you can see the attachment. It's always safe to leave one block spacing between two merging ships, otherwise they can fuse together. Now, as I mentioned before, some of these racks or these mission packages can be mirrored. For example, this smaller drone rack, you can put it both here in the top of the ship and the bottom. You can have a total of 12 of those drones in the racks, plus the other 6 that the Calypso already carries. So you can basically make this drone carrier, or have it like this: 12 small drones and 2 large. And this in particular you cannot install in the back. It's pretty much in the same way that you cannot install the planetary landing assist module that carries the APCs in the back of the ship, in the top of the ship. It's just too large and it's going to intrude with the turrets. So some of these mission packages can be installed in both places. Generally the small ones can be installed in both places. The large ones tend to only be installed on the belly. So this is a description for the drone racks mission package. In the previous segment we talked about using the mission packages to support both manned vehicles and unmanned vehicles. In this set we're going to talk about resources. So this is a support rig. Now this idea was given to me by Greg Perko. He designed a larger support rig for his frigate that detaches, and when I saw his video, I was thinking, well, I already have a mission package system already in place for my destroyer, so let's apply his idea. This one in particular, although it's a large module, you can install in both top and bottom of the Calypso. It has 5 oxygen farms. It has 3 sorry, 3 solar panels, so you can recharge your batteries and fill the ship back with oxygen. A beacon so you can find it, and it has this feature of a rotor. Now, the idea behind this rotor here is that you could leave this in orbit, um, high orbit above a planet, and then go explore it. Set it in a way that the planet itself, or maybe the moons or any asteroids, obstrude the sun, and then match the rotation of the sun with the rotation of this module. You could also attach like a receiver or like a container for it. Attach some oxygen tanks, attach batteries, and reload them in orbit while you do something else. That's why it's detachable, and is also not meant to enter direct combat. I mean, you don't want to lose these precious materials that are costly to build in survival. So, speaking of resources, one of those resources that we always try to get rid of is stone. You can now put it to good use by fitting it through this gravity cannon, or mass driver like I like to call it. It's a simple gravity cannon, and once again, like in theory, you could install this module both top and bottom. I install it in the bottom because it's the one that is facing forwards, and you can use the camera here or the camera in the Calypso. Now I know this camera is exposed, but the Calypso has its own cameras that are very deep in to the heavy nose of the ship. Now, speaking of gravity cannons, I have proven that it's really hard to track a target and shoot it, especially if it is a fast moving ship. So it would be a weapon designed more for bombardment of installations, whether it be orbital installations from a large distance or planetary installations, now that we're gonna have planets soon. Especially because the debris that you shoot from it, that debris doesn't have the limitation of the rocket launchers or any kind of modded turret, which is range. So these missiles, these rockets can only go 800 meters. Some modded guns, the furthest region that I have seen are like 7 kilometers or something like that. I might be mistaken, but the ones that I'm using, the Okim Industries, their maximum range is between 1 kilometer and 1.2 kilometers. So if you want something that will hit from a larger range, along the range, you can use this gravity gun and dispose of all that stone that you've been collecting through it. You could actually install this on the back if you want to get rid of some pesky pursuing ship, but in my opinion that would just be silly. So all of these mission packages have beacons in them so you can find them, also batteries so they won't get lost. You can just drop them, maybe leave them inside of an asteroid that you know, be like your secret weapon stash, and then configure your vessel the way you want. Now they will be available to download in the workshop. You can use them in your own ships. I would like to see more people doing mission packages, and show me your videos about it. That's all for now. Take care.